Hiker Jay here. Today we're going to be talking about solar panels. I'm testing out the BougeRV 180 watt solar panel. They sent me one of these and I purchased another one because I want to be able to do a solar array out on the property. But this one right here is going to be going onto my son's van today, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do all that. But to begin with, we're going to talk about the actual panel itself, how it's constructed, how it functions. I've got a multimeter here so we can test it and see what we got. I'm going to talk about the specs and such, and then I'm going to show you how we install it on there and how it functions in the van charging a Blue Yeti. So real quick before we get into the video, if you could hit like and subscribe, that would be awesome. Helps me grow as a channel, and also all the products that I'll be talking about will be linked down below so you can check them out yourself and get one if you want to. So as we get into the panels themselves, they do ship individually like this, and one came just perfectly fine, but one was kind of beat up. That's this one. They have this foam on them too, but it has kind of a rough corners on it. They put these cardboard corners on, but I think Bouge needs to do a little bit better packaging on that, but they both function perfectly fine, just got a little beat up on the corners. All right, flipping around and talking about the specs here. Now, what we've got is a 180 watt panel at 10 amps and 18 volts. That's pretty good because that's pretty general. One thing you want to know is how many volts something is putting out, because whatever battery system you're putting in that's taking the solar power has to be within a threshold. Now my Blue Yeti is 12 to, I think it's 40 volts. So it'll take this one perfectly. And even on like lighter days, it'll still take in power. So this is gonna be a perfect setup for that. Something you really need to research, just make sure that your panel is compatible with your battery system. All right, so I've got this panel just to show you how it functions with the multimeter, but as you can see, the sun's hitting it. I'm not going to actually put the camera up there because I don't want to burn up my camera, but when I do hook it up, I'll kind of tilt it towards the sun. Now, the tough thing is, like, I've got it up on top of the van, the other one's set up, and the Blue Yeti back there, and I'm going to show you how it functions and how much it's actually putting in watts when we're get it all set up. But the thing to remember is that when it's set up on a van, it's always at one position. So you do have to kind of position the van around where you can get sun, and you won't be able to get that full like 100% exposure. So what we're going to do is we're going to hook our multimeter in here, and right now I am on amps, so I will turn it to amps. And so this can go up to 10 amps, and right now, if you can see that, we're at 3.4, but let's try to see what we can do to get this a little bit better. So 6, now it is 11 o'clock, a little hazy out, 7. So you can see as you position this, you can get better actual amps going in. Now let's change it to the volts. That looks like probably the right place to be. I'm gonna change it over to volts. Got it switched over. We're pulling 22 right now. Now, the thing about that is that that Blue Yeti over there will take volts from that 12 to 40, which is great. So this panel will work perfectly for that. We'll be putting in power, no problem, and we shouldn't have any situation. But what really matters, like, that's all the volts and everything, just make sure you're compatible. But what really matters is this is a 180 watt panel. How much is it going to put in to a power system? Even though this panel says it's 180, it's never going to put out full 180 unless you have perfect sun. So that's why I want something a little bigger. That Blue Yeti can take in 120 at a time. So what we're hoping is having that 60 watt gap that will always be able to get 120 going in to that Blue Yeti. So let's go hook that up and see if we can get 120 watts going into the Blue Yeti with this sitting right on top of the van right here. So now what we want to do is hook up the Blue Yeti to the solar panel, running up through the window up on top of the roof here. So we don't quite have it mounted yet, but I really like how this is going to work. I'm going to slide that forward, and this is going to sit really flat on top of the van here. Let's go to the other side and plug it in. So right now I've got it mounted, and there's enough space through here to pull the cables through. A couple of things, we might just mount it and plug it in when we get to site, but we are going to put a ceiling fan at some point, and that's where we'll probably put a port so that we can send these cables through. The nice thing about an Astro is it's got this kind of split window here, and we can close this on top of these cables in order if it's raining or whatnot. So plug in the connectors. This adapter was really nice. It came with the Blue Yeti, which is nice. We plug those in right there, and now we could shut this on these cables and it would be just fine. Actually, I think we could drive this way. So for a short-term solution, I think that's going to be it until we actually punch into the roof. Now let's go inside and see what kind of watts we're pulling. All right, now as we climb in here, actually I'm not sure I said in the beginning, but this is my son's van, which we did a full build out series on. This bed is pretty sweet. It's a couch bed type thing. You can check it out. I'll put the link down in the description down below, and you can see it there. Now, so our goal is to build out a little box right here to hold the power source. So the power cord coming in and running back here is actually perfect. And I did close the window, which is gonna be nice during rain. You can still seal it and keep it dry in here. I'm gonna pull this up here so we can see better. Now, this is the Blue Yeti 500 watt system. Absolutely love this. One of my favorite go-tos these days for sure. I've got Goal Zero and a bunch of different ones, but this one we really love, and this one's the one that my son's using. You can even set your phone up there and charge it. So we plug in the power source, which is the solar panels right now, and let me get in on this right here. So we're at 64, 84 watts, 92 watts, 103. Let's see if we can get to the 120. This maxes out. We'll not let more than 120 in. Now that panel is 180, so the idea is if it's a little bit cloudy or whatever, like it is today, it's a little bit hazy, and it's only 11 a.m., so probably noon, and we're sitting at 116. So perfect reason to have a solar panel that's higher than what you want your watts to go in. This is a 180 panel, and right now in the sun that we have right now, the haziness in the morning, we're pulling in 116, which actually is really good for my son. Leaving this plugged in and just running like this is going to be fine. One thing I really do want to point out is the reason that I know I could get more than 120 right now, but right now the van's sitting like this, right? And the sun is coming in through here. So if we could tilt it right to a perfect angle, we'd be pulling in a ton more watts. But I'm really happy with that. I think my son can adjust his van wherever he wants to get that power when he needs to. So this is pretty cool. I'm pretty excited. This is a great little setup. I'm gonna also do a video on the BougeRV 180 watt panels in a series for a off-grid RV system that we're building out in the land. That'll be a couple more weeks, so stay tuned for that, and I'll probably have a little more of an update when it comes to this one for you. Look, if you found this video useful in any way, please go ahead and subscribe and hit like. Really helps me out. And as always, all the products that I'm talking about, the panels and everything, will be down in the description down below so you can get them yourself. Till next time, just remember, life's a hike, so hike happy.